Everybody dies. Do something.
Somebody dies faster.
Precisely. But if you want to bring down Bell Tower, the choice is clear.
Fuck your false dichotomy, double choice, nobody wins bullshit. I'm going to find another way. Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to the Human Revolution. Say, do you remember how I found a hidey hole on this floor back when I was searching through the prison silo before? Because I apparently... here it is. I was having trouble finding it. Had to run around the whole area apparently, but got more than enough time for that. Because hey, that wasn't green before. It didn't have a timer on it before.
The toxicity level is dropping. You found a way to save everyone, brother. You'll still need to unlock the submersibles while Whistleblower can go free. Use the touchscreen in the command tower. It'll also let you back inside the base.
And why would I want to go there?
Use your head, Tuvok. The last thing standing between you and Megan Reed is Burke.
That's right. This game, if you look, if you hunt around, you will find a way to save everyone. Now I'm going to talk to everyone. And pick up all the ammunition I left behind because I was kind of in a hurry on my way down here. Alright, let's get the objective done first.
Kavanaugh, I've unlocked the hatch and I'm transmitting the coordinates to a rendezvous site.
Oh, thank God. I thought when the code yellow started...
It's over. Just make sure Interpol gets that evidence. I'm going after Burke. Jensen out.
Now, like I was saying before, you can get through this. You can get this ending without super speed and without super jump, but you need to make damn good use of all of the throwable, carryable objects in this map here. And you gotta find boxes that, or other objects that you can stand on, that you can also put inside the, bring inside the area, the ventilation shaft. And you need to grab one of the, damn it, I didn't mean to pick up a sniper rifle. And you need to grab a fire extinguisher because you cannot use guns or grenades. But you do need to destroy that thing. And you can do so by throwing a fire extinguisher at it.
No more talks. I don't want to die, mate. There's got to be 1,000 people held in this place. That Cold-Eyed bastard was going to kill us all.
Yeah, damn, huh?
Got a gas us. That's mass murder. Are y'all crazy? Listen, I'll talk. Tell Burke whatever he wants to hear. I'll say it. Please, just don't kill me.
You did see me murder all the guards in here, right? 'Cause you're not acting like it.
他们为什么这么做？我们是无辜的，这是谋杀。他们是想杀了我们。
They sure did.
Situation white. Flashing ducks. Ready. Decontaminate.
Got a gas.
You came back. You stopped the gas, didn't you? I was sure we were all dead. You saved us all. You saved me. I thought you'd abandoned me.
I think that's the prisoner who was in the medical ring. If that's the case, it's nice to see that she's doing... Well, she hasn't been experimented on, at least. That's good.
No more talk. I don't want to die, mate.
The gas. It was coming in the cell, and it just stopped. What are they trying to do to us? You stopped it, didn't you? What will happen to us now?
In general, more people are recognizing me as not being one of the guards.
Thank you. But don't stay here. You have to find the one giving the orders. You have to stop what's going on here. Are you the one? You want to turn off the gas? You saved us all. Are you going to get us out of here now? You can't just leave us in here. They'll be back. The doctors.
But, yeah, like, without the third option, this is a pretty hard moral choice. Kill 100 people and destroy the operation,
Activating security scan.
or destroy the operation and let 100 people die. Possibly more. These are just the people we can find. There's more than one silo, too. Pretty sure about that.
Biometric data assembled.
Come on.
Subject not.
Corporal Tyler? Or should I say Adam Jensen? That's right. I know who you are now. Geithner wasn't quite as good at hiding her tracks as she thought she was. You're clever, I'll give you that. Most men aren't capable of seeing beyond the choice in front of them. But whatever you think you've done, it's of no consequence. Helping that fool Kavanaugh escape, saving the lives of a few worthless civilians, it won't change anything. All you've done is make yourself a target. The Reed woman, this Megan you've been searching for, she's not here. And the only thing standing between you and the ship that could take you to her is me. I underestimated you back on the ship. I won't be doing it again.
Lad, you there?
Quinn? Where are you?
Getting me arse out of Dodge. Burke's had enough, and he's gunning for you. And I don't intend on being caught in the bloody crossfire. But listen, that trick you pulled with the gas, fucking brilliant work that was. Head to me shop. I left you a thing or two so you can give him hell. I'd like to say we'd meet again over a pint sometime, but, well, Godspeed, mate.
Nice. Aim that just right. Although that guy's taking twice as long to go down. Well, no matter. Yeah, of course,
Someone hiding over there?
Burke's taunts have a lot more bite to them if you, you know, didn't save everyone.
It's only a matter of time before my men find you, Jensen. Nowhere for you to go.
Ooh, it's the head crack one. Well, I guess he didn't alert anyone else. Alright. Taking them down one at a time, just the rate I like it. But of course, that only clears my way into the next area. Because remember, I opened that shortcut. Also, I have no idea why I haven't bought why I didn't buy this earlier. Considering how entirely useful it is.
One of our guys is there. I think he's alive.
Oh no, you don't. Not get to wake them up. Looks like people are turning invisible. Well, luckily they can't get past this block they've put up here. Chest high wall. Come on, at least one of you knows I'm here. Actually going to grow a spine or something, or not? So I don't see, and I don't think the AI is smart enough to flank me. Alright. Dealt with that potential problem. Ooh, shotgun cartridges. Maybe I should use the shotgun in this area. Combat rifles doing me pretty well for now, though. Plus, I've got plenty of ammunition for it. Well, if none of them is going to be in my way, I might as well take the elevator down. As usual, there isn't going to be anybody downstairs. So I don't need to worry about that too much. Oh, yep, and he left the door open.
Done here will make a difference. You know, Jensen. You know how human nature is.
Nice stuff. I imagine some of these safes are closed. If you didn't do nearly as well as I did in rescuing both the prisoners and the whistleblower. Nothing else in the front area here. And in the back, nothing we really want. Oh, but there is a hidden button. Well, let's look at this unlocked computer first. Just routine email stuff here. What have we got here for the secret stash? Ooh.
Still there, Jensen?
Reload speed upgrade. I could use one of those. Also, I don't need that sniper rifle I've got there. But I apparently haven't noticed that it's in my inventory yet. Oh, now I did. Yeah, that makes some extra space right there. I've still only got 2 batteries, so I don't need that jar. Ooh, security rating 5. Now this is something special. I think the login just said hammer. Looks like I can hack the stack here if I'm fast enough. Oh geez, +5. Come on.
Access granted.
Excellent. Interesting. Talking about how what's-her-face died.
A project. And yet you're simply a product of the same kind of research.
Yeah, but it's a little more ethical than your version, and that's kind of the point. Looks like he's been investigating me. And for that matter, he might be the hacker. Putting on a different accent, perhaps. Right. Picked up some extra praxis while I was in here, so I might as well buy some extra batteries. And it does fill them for me, so I still don't need the jar. I wish the tracking system didn't turn off so easily on its own. Kind of weird how that happens. Like, it would be good if it remembered to keep it on in between putting it away and taking it back out. Like, let alone just forgetting that it's on constantly like it has been. Ooh. Heard some clattering. That's how I knew that combat rifle was there. Right. Anyway, I don't need to take out all the guys around here. I don't need to do any of this. I can just take the shortcut and get to Area 3. It was blocked off. We couldn't get to there before, but now it's open. And now I can get into it. You know what? If they're busy talking, they won't be able to spot me as I get through here.
You hunkered down in a closet somewhere?
Uh-oh. Turret might be a problem, but they left just enough room for me to sneak behind it. Now I am on my way to Area 3. The final confrontation.
Well, you made it! I'm torn between admiration and pity. You've condemned me for for my actions, Jensen. But look at the lengths you've gone to find one woman. Wasted potential. Although from what I've heard, I suspect you'll still be of use to me dead.
Okay, lengths to go to find one woman does not add up to falsely imprisoning hundreds of people and performing grotesque, unethical, immoral experiments on them. I have no idea why you're trying to equivalent yourself to Jensen, aside from the fact that you must need to have some desire to justify your own actions to yourself, because they're so incredibly awful. Alright, looks like I can get around to the other side here, thanks to all the cover. I saw, yep, that guy's going through there. Headshot. Other guy, I think he's still going to be on the right catwalk. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why I bothered to ask that question earlier, because this is a guy who clearly loves to hear himself talk.
Where'd you go?
Because as soon as he has an excuse and a PA system, look at what he does.
How can a man so gifted be so blind?
Well, that's a turret. Shredded off most of my health. Could probably have run past and taken less damage.
Where'd you go?
I thought possibly to recruit.
Howdy. Well, yeah, he doesn't make a good soldier. He was SWAT. They teach you to investigate in the police. Alright, looks like there's a heavy over there. So I'm going to switch to the weapon that does armor piercing. Apparently the top level heavies take 2 bullets to the head. That's going to be important to remember later, because we are only going to encounter the extra tough heavies from here on out. Ooh.
You've earned your shot, Jensen. Come on. Don't keep me waiting.
Okay. Looks like I can't advance up here unless I run across some of those crates. But, you know, it's probably won't have so many sight lines if I approach him from below. Yep, there he is. Oh, he does shoot at you. I should, probably do something to address that fact. Oh, heavy fell all the way down here. EMP mine. Now, I could go up there. Could, you know, attack him, even, from this side. But you know what? I want to serve up a good old... That was an EMP grenade.
Earned your shot, Jensen.
Whoops.
Come on. Don't keep me waiting.
Yep, there he is. Oh, and he can shoot at you. And I completely missed with the gas grenade. Damn it. Yeah, like I said, I could go up there and shoot him, but I think it would be more of an indignity to knock him out with a gas grenade with a banking shot like that.
It sounds like your struggles are almost over, Bratan. Is Burke dead?
I'm standing, he's not. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh, you don't make things easy, do you? Still, with Burke out of the picture even briefly, there's a power vacuum I can use. Return to loading bay 2. The doors between here and the docking platform will be open for you.
Last time I passed through there, Burke's men were still waiting for me.
Not anymore. Burke has just ordered them away.
Great. Except I came here looking for Megan Reed, Bratan. I can't leave without knowing.
There is a boat heading toward the location as we speak. If you hurry, you can be on it.
Now I'm exploring the place since, Burke isn't shooting at me anymore. Hey, the turret's off. But yeah, he wanted a giant final confrontation with Adam Jensen, the interloper. But, I didn't want to give it to him. That would have been what he wanted. Instead, I just threw a gas grenade at his face. Now he has to live with his choices. Yeah, Burke is ultimately responsible for everything that's happened on this base, for all the experiments and all the other stuff. It was facilitated by other people. It was the idea of other people. He was the one who made the command decision to make this a reality. It got him a promotion. Now it got him a gas grenade to the face. May the justice system have mercy on his soul. Anyway, that's basically it for the DLC. All that's left to do is have one last conversation with our hacker. It's just right here.
Bratan.
Quinn?
I'm afraid our good friend Quinn met with an unfortunate incident during all the commotion and is no longer with us.
Your voice. It was you this whole time. Who are you?
For the moment, I'm between identities. I apologize for the duplicity, but it was a necessary precaution. You had to be kept in the dark.
And Keitner? Did she know?
Commander Keitner's perception was much like yours. Shrouded. She saw what she needed to see, and was told what she needed to hear in order for me to complete the mission.
So we were both pawns. Except she's dead and I'm not. So where does that leave me in your grand design?
We're all pawns in someone else's grand design, Mr. Jensen. But that doesn't make Nathania's death any less tragic. Your actions ensured her sacrifice was not made in vain, however. Dr. Kavanagh made it out safely, and is on her way to the rendezvous site. She will expose the truth in due time.
And the prisoners?
Ah, yes. The prisoners. With Kavanagh out, it's only a matter of time before this base makes international headlines. Until that time, however, I cannot say what Bell Tower will do next. I only know that a cornered and desperate bull is a very dangerous beast. We mustn't stay here much longer, Mr. Jensen, if we hope to get you away from this base.
I still have questions, Quinn, and I want answers. Real answers, no more bullshit.
You really want to waste time chatting, Bratan? Fine. I will answer what I can, but keep in mind you have a boat to catch.
Keitner said she had been approached by an agent from Interpol. It was you, wasn't it?
Very astute. When I learned of Commander Keitner's suspicions and insubordinate behavior towards Burke, I saw an opportunity. Pretending to be an agent of Interpol seemed the best way to gain her trust.
You mean you lied? So who do you work for?
A loose network of independent operatives, agents of conversion and equilibrium, who seek to expose corruption and assure humanity's natural progress. In truth, we are not affiliated with any global organization. But then, neither is our enemy, officially.
Your enemy? You're not just talking about Bell Tower anymore, are you? You're talking about
The men and women who pull bell tower strings. The same men and women who ordered them to kidnap Megan Reed.
So basically these are the assassins to the Illuminati's Templars. And they would be basically the ancestors to the Illuminati remnant who would fight against MJ-12.
Bell Tower probably has a battalion on its way to clean up this mess. How do you plan on keeping what we did here a secret?
I'm delighted to say that Burke did most of the damage control for us. After requesting the profile search on you, he never explained why he needed it. I believe he wanted to keep control of you to himself. Since that time, we've been monitoring all incoming and outgoing communications, and the lockdown allowed me to discreetly install a tunneler, rerouting the base's network traffic. By the time Bell Tower realizes something is wrong, it will already be too late.
What about the rest of the base personnel?
Most of them think Burke is still in command. Technically, orders continue to be issued in his name, but I'm the one making the calls. I've also taken the liberty of cordoning off this sector of the base. For the moment, at least, we're safe.
Burke isn't exactly dead, and once he wakes up, it's gonna get ugly.
Like I said before, you haven't made things easier for us. But they haven't forgotten that small detail. For now, Burke remains contained. Once you're off the base, I'll find a more permanent solution.
All right. Where's Megan?
I don't know for certain. But what I do know is that earlier today, Burke issued orders to have a large group of detainees transferred off this base. Supposedly, they will be assisting at another black site facility.
Kavanaugh said this was just the factory floor. You're sure Megan is at this other facility?
Nothing is ever certain in life, Mr. Jensen. But it is the best chance you have. Unfortunately, the cargo ship carrying the prisoners has already set sail. But I took the liberty to send out an urgent dispatch in Burke's name, ordering the ship's captain to hold position until one more detainee could be flown on board. In stasis. A helicopter is en route to pick you up.
Wait a second. You want me to get inside another stasis pod? Last time I got in one of those things, it didn't go so well.
I know it's far from ideal, but frankly, your options are quite limited. Although, I suppose you could try swimming there.
Better be the right fucking boat this time. Because I don't feel like coming back here anytime soon.
Don't worry, mate. It'll be grand. Besides, I thought you Americans liked riding off into the sunset.
At this point, it would have to be the sunrise. But yeah, I'll say his options are limited. Considering that, he has to... Oh yeah, by the way, this is when you get all of your inventory and praxis points back. So you can miss this. I mean, it's right there in your line of sight when you get back control. But yeah, don't miss that if you want to get all your stuff back. I mean, I suppose you could make a sort of reset, mid-game reset, if you want to go back to praxis points and all that. Anyway, yeah, 121. That's even after I spend all the praxis you get from the DLC. Just buying everything. Time to play the Popeye theme. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. But no, what I was saying. Your options are limited because, of course, the next section begins with you in a stasis pod. Because the last section ended with you in a stasis pod. And this DLC was an idea somebody came up with later. So, it calls itself the missing link, as if there were information that was missing, since it takes a few days for you to arrive at your destination. But yeah, of course it takes you... Of course nothing happens, you're in a stasis pod for 3 days. And so, all of this here is just, didn't have to happen. It's not missing at all. But hey, if you're going to throw in a DLC in the middle of the game, might as well be a place where there is some space for things to happen. Man, so much junk. So much ammunition, jeez. 251 ammo for the combat rifle. Alright, getting my mines back. Honestly, I do not need this many mines and this many grenades. I don't even need this many pro energy bars. Or this many hypo stims. They stop stacking once they hit 5. Alright, what else can I drop? Automatic unlocking device. I forget if I got rid of the concussion grenades here or not. I guess not. Because off we go.
It's done. Exactly as you instructed.
And yet you sound disappointed. You think we should have handled this differently?
I think we had a valuable asset in our hands, and we're letting him slip away. He could have been very useful in the coming storm.
A hand does not need to be clenched tightly to maintain its hold on someone. Jensen carries too much baggage right now. His obsession with Reed only serves to distract him.
We could have told him the truth.
He must discover it by himself. And when he does, if you have followed my instructions precisely, we will know how to find him.
Assuming he lives that long.
Sequel hook. This week we're back again to AV Corner with yet another heist film, sort of. See, this cycle has sort of turned into the reality-bending cycle without me even realizing it. But now that I have, I figure there's no better way to cap it off than with 2010's Inception. The story about the story. Inception began as an original idea by the director Christopher Nolan. His initial thought was a horror story about people who come into your dreams and steal your thoughts. But over time, it developed into a heist movie where the protagonists are doing the stealing, and then turned into something a little more thoughtful, and a lot more packed with action and special effects. As a heist movie, Inception has an ensemble cast with some very famous names. Leonardo DiCaprio as the film's lead Dom Cobb needs no introduction, and Cobb's partner Arthur is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a man who started out as a child actor in the early 90s and who never really stopped appearing in movies and films ever since. The architect Ariadne is played by Ellen Page, a Canadian actor who had her first big hit in 2007 with Juno. Tom Hardy plays Eames, the team's master of disguise, and while Hardy got his big start in 2001's Black Hawk Down, he would become more famous for later roles like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises and Max in Mad Max Fury Road. Then there's Mr. Saito, the team's employer, who is played by Ken Watanabe, a famous Japanese actor who first showed up in Hollywood as Lord Katsumoto in The Last Samurai. Despite the fact that the majority of the film takes place in dreams, the majority of the special effects were in camera, were created using practical effects, and only enhanced with CGI. To find their sets, the crew went to Los Angeles, Japan, the Northern Rockies in Canada, the streets of Paris, and the tenements of Morocco. For the interior special effects, they built their sets in an old airship hangar north of London. And those interior shots were really something else. They made a hotel bar that could tilt 45 degrees to either side, but bolted down all the chairs and tables so that only the light fixtures and the water in people's glasses would shift. They created a 100-foot horizontal hallway suspended in a bunch of rings that were rotated by powerful motors. Then they did the same thing with a hotel room. For a zero-gravity sequence, they rebuilt the same hallway, but with a vertical orientation. While in Paris, the crew used air cannons to fire real debris into the city streets and enhanced it with digital effects. In Morocco, they used streets filled with repeating apartment buildings as a basis for crumbling yet repeating architecture. In Los Angeles, they carefully kept track of the sun's position and used giant blockers on cherry pickers to turn a sunny day into a midday storm. They also got a train to drive down the middle of the road by converting an 18-wheeler semi with 2 trailers into a locomotive with 2 cars. They even had the crew chew up the pavement so it would look like a set of steel wheels had passed through. In Canada, they built a small fortress up where an old ski resort once stood, and then blew it up for real when they were done filming. But because the charges didn't go off properly, they got extra footage by building a giant miniature in a studio parking lot and blowing that one up twice. They also built a giant Japanese castle set that was too big for an earthquake rig, so they jiggled the cameras by hand and then flooded the place using even more air cannons. They created an Escher-like endless staircase, and they used computer models to determine exactly how to build it and where to put the camera to complete the illusion. Hans Zimmer composed the soundtrack to Inception, as he had several other Nolan films, and he took a very interesting approach to the task. For one thing, he created the music with full creative license because the plan was to adjust the film's editing to match the tracks and not the other way around. Zimmer's original version was ambient electronic music, which he then adapted to a full orchestra arrangement with a heavy emphasis on brass instruments. Also, he decided that a few of the tracks needed an electric guitar in them, so he brought in Johnny Marr of the Smiths to play the part. Inception cost $160 million to create, and Warner dumped another $100 million into advertising. This turned out to be a great investment, because the North American box office alone recouped all the money they had spent, and the total worldwide revenue made them $826 million. Inception is very possibly the best film Christopher Nolan has ever directed, but you can make your own judgment after you've heard the story. Dom Cobb washes ashore near a Japanese castle, and armed security guards bring him in when he mentions the castle's owner, Saito, by name. When his men bring him the unusual top Cobb was carrying, Saito lets him in, and we flash back to the story's beginning. Cobb and Arthur are in the same castle room with a much younger Saito, and say they can get into his dreams and steal his ideas. But he can hire them to train his mind to resist such intrusions. Saito isn't interested, even when they tell him he's in a dream right now. Just to prove it, we cut to all three of them hooked up to a machine in a Moroccan apartment as the crowd riots outside. The riot's explosions are causing earthquakes in Japan, and Cobb meets a woman he has a history with who shouldn't be there. Her name is Mao, and she asks after their children. For his part, Cobb does his best to ignore her and continue his mission of stealing Saito's secrets. Just after getting them, Mal turns up with Saito, having sold them out, and she threatens Arthur with pain since death would just wake him up. Plus, this is his dream. So, Cobb shoots Arthur, and as the dream collapses around him, Cobb escapes long enough to read the secret information. Except, it's incomplete. After a quick dunk in a tub to wake Cobb up, everyone is now awake in the Moroccan apartment, and the riot is getting closer. Saito is surprisingly unfazed, and he says he's been playing with them as a kind of audition, but they failed. Except, the apartment is another dream. Everyone is actually asleep on a Japanese bullet train. When Saito realizes this, he changes his mind. As for the team, they wake up by playing the song Non, je ne regrette rien as a timer, and they get away just before Saito regains consciousness. At a hotel room, Cobb calls his kids, whom he can't meet with for some reason. When they ask about Mom, Mal, he reminds them she won't be coming back. Cobb and Arthur try to escape Tokyo since they didn't get enough information from Saito, but when they go up to the helicopter, Saito is there waiting for them. Their architect tried to sell them out, but Saito is interested in hiring the pair for a job, and so he dumps the architect out for their disappointed employer to deal with. Saito wants Cobb and Arthur to perform an inception, to plant an idea instead of steal one. But it's almost impossible, since the person has to think they were the one who came up with the idea instead of an interloper. Specifically, Saito wants the son of his main competitor to break up his corporate empire as soon as he inherits. Cobb initially refuses, but Saito says he can square things away to let Cobb go back home and see his kids again. So Cobb accepts. Cobb and Arthur go to Paris to speak to Cobb's old mentor, Michael Caine. Sure, his character has a name, but it's Michael Caine. Caine was the man who taught Cobb how to dream dive, and he's Mal's father. And while he's disappointed Cobb has turned to a life of crime, he gives him the name of a promising young architect, Ariadne. Cobb auditions Ariadne by making her draw a maze, and he explains that the shared dreaming works by having one person create the environment while the second and subsequent persons fill it with their subconscious, background characters, and other details. When Ariadne realizes they're discussing this in a dream, these details start to erupt and explode. She then wakes up, and Arthur mentions that the military developed dream sharing for the sake of realistic but harmless training exercises. They also mention that time moves faster in a dream, so 5 minutes in reality translates to an hour of dream time, a 1:12 ratio. They go back under, and Ariadne starts experimenting by folding Paris on top of itself since she is now the dreamer. Cobb warns her that obvious changes will agitate his subconscious and cause his projections to attack her, which they do when she recreates a bridge Cobb remembers from his time with Mal. When Ariadne wakes up, Arthur tells her to get a totem, an object only she truly knows and no one else can replicate. If it's wrong, or if it's missing, she'll know she's in someone else's dream. Ariadne storms out because of what she saw of Cobb's deep-seated issues, but Cobb knows she'll be back now that she's had a taste of dream architecture. Cobb heads to Mombasa next to pick up Eames, a forger. Eames accepts the idea of Inception, but suggests that they choose the simplest possible idea, the relationship between father and son. He also suggests that they get a local chemist, Yusuf, because he can create the strong drugs they'll need to go on a dream dive 3 dreams deep. There's an action scene thanks to the price Cobb's old employer put on his head, but Saito rescues him. They then visit Yusuf, who regularly doses a dozen old men so that they can live their lives in dreams. Saito names his rival, Robert Fisher, and so Eames infiltrates his company to get close to another executive and family confidant, Peter Browning. The goal is to impersonate Browning in the first dream layer and make suggestions so that the second layer Browning, a projection, will feed Robert the same information, and then in the third layer he'll make it his own idea. Meanwhile, Ariadne finishes her totem, and Cobb mentions that the top he carries around with him is Mal's old totem from before she died, and she would know it was a dream if it never stopped spinning. Ariadne tries to discuss her maze designs with Cobb, but he doesn't want to know them. If he does, his projection of Mal will find them and sabotage their mission again. Yusuf designs a sedative that only lets you wake up when your inner ear thinks that you're about to fall over, and they then discuss how time dilation compounds with each layer. 10 hours in real life feels like a week in Layer 1, and 10 years in Layer 3. To get that kind of time, Saito sabotages Fisher's private jet and buys out the airline he'll take as its replacement. Saito is coming too, by the way. He likes to apply a personal touch to his investments. Then there's some foreshadowing, but we'll get the whole story later, so I'll just skip it. Fisher's father dies, so the time comes to execute the plan. They drug Fisher's water and hook everyone up. Fisher, Cobb, Arthur, Saito, Ariadne, Eames, and Yusuf. Layer 1 is LA in the rain. They hijack a taxi to abduct Fisher on the street. Things start off well, but then Ariadne and Cobb's car get hit by a freight train going down the middle of the road, one of Cobb's projections, and then Fisher's projections start firing on the taxi. Turns out his subconscious is trained to resist intrusion, and nobody told the team. Saito gets hit in the crossfire, which is a problem because the sedative is too strong. If he dies by any means except falling, he'll drop into limbo, the dream layer beneath all other dream layers where time dilation is effectively infinite. Only Cobb has been there before, and even he doesn't know what'll happen to Saito if he gets trapped there. The team acts like kidnappers and brings Eames in as Browning to meet with Fisher and act like a fellow kidnappee. In his role, Eames suggests to Fisher that his father had a secret safe, a will that would break up his empire if Fisher so wished it. He doesn't suggest why Fisher Sr. made this will, but he does suggest that it was his way of showing his love. Meanwhile, Ariadne confronts Cobb about his time in Limbo so that she'll be prepared for what happens when they go deeper. Cobb explains that he and Mal went there as an experiment, but they spent so much time that they lost sight of the waking world and turned Limbo into their new reality. They built it up for 50 years in Limbo time, and while Cobb grew sick of it, Mal embraced it. When they eventually woke up, Mal was convinced that she was still dreaming, and she and Cobb needed to kill themselves to truly return to reality. So, on their anniversary, Mal trashed the hotel room they were staying at and jumped out the window, framing Cobb for her death so that he would feel compelled to join her. But he fled the country instead. The projections are closing in, so they get everyone into a van to dive the next layer deep, with Yusuf staying behind to drive and play the music timer. Layer 2 is a fancy hotel, and Cobb pulls a Mr. Charles gambit. He pretends to be Robert's projection and sets him against his actual projections. Cobb reinforces his argument by pointing out how Yusuf's evasive driving in Layer 1 is making gravity go all weird. As this happens, Arthur and Ariadne set up explosives beneath the hotel room where they'll go under again, so that they'll all fall simultaneous to when the van goes over a bridge. This is the kick that will get them all the way back up to reality. When Browning shows up as a projection, Cobb gets Fisher to start suspecting Browning's motives. And since this is Robert's projection, Browning acts like he really was behind the kidnapping. Cobb then suggests entering Browning's dream, so as they enter Layer 3, Fisher becomes a willing part of the team. Incidentally, Arthur is the one who stays behind this time, and he gets his own gravity-defying action scene as Yusuf rolls the van. For some reason, this doesn't affect Layer 3. Layer 3 is the Snow Fortress, and with Fisher's help, the team draws away most of the security. Back on Layer 1, Yusuf gets trapped on the bridge which he's supposed to jump off, and so he starts the timer music early. Arthur misses the first kick when the van hits the bridge's rail, so he has to figure out a way to drop everyone when the van enters freefall and gravity disappears from the hotel. As for Layer 3, Robert and Saito cut through the fortress maze using a shortcut. By the way, Saito is doing better a few layers away from his injury, but he does experience coughing fits, and eventually he has to start crawling. As Arthur sets everyone up to drop by planting explosives on the elevator, Mal shows up in the fortress and shoots Fisher. It seems like they failed, but Ariadne says she and Cobb can go down to Limbo to retrieve Fisher. In Limbo, the two of them awaken on a shore next to a crumbling cliff face of old buildings. Cobb and Mal have spent decades building thousands of buildings, moving from one era of architecture to the next. Cobb meets with Mal's projection, and she asks him to stay in Limbo. But Cobb is too guilty to stay, and he finally explains why. He set the projection of Mal's top spinning so that she would consider reality a dream and dream a reality. This helped him get her out of Limbo since she had confused the two, and the way they went out was by getting run over by a freight train. But because of what he did, Mal got confused the other way around once she was back in reality, and thus killed herself. Cobb rejects the phantom of his dead wife and finds Fisher, so he gets him back to Layer 3 by tossing him off the building. Fisher is thus able to enter the final vault and have a touching moment with the projection of his father as his Inception. The kicks all happen at once just afterwards, but Cobb misses his chance to wake up to look for Saito, whom he knows will have died by now. And so we return to the film's beginning. Cobb repeats words from earlier in the film to convince Saito to return with him, and without any transition, they wake up. Saito makes the call to clear Cobb's name, and they all disembark from Los Angeles with no trouble. After nodding to his team on the way out, Cobb meets with Michael Caine at the terminal and returns home. He sets the top spinning one last time, but he leaves it behind when he sees his kids. And as the top continues spinning, and just before it can fall or not fall, the movie ends. The analysis. So, the ending. Obviously it's ambiguous, with the question being, did he really escape his dreams, or is this just the most pleasant layer? There actually is an answer if you analyze the film. Despite his obsession with the top, it was never Cobb's totem. Cobb's totem is his wedding ring. He has it in the dream realms, and he doesn't have it in reality. And he doesn't have it in the final scenes. The kids in the final scene are also older than Cobb's projections, which he likely wouldn't have been able to imagine. But then, that's not the real question you should ask. What you should ask is this. Why are all the dream layers so realistic? Why are they so cemented in reality when they should be working on oddball dream logic? The movie does dip into this well with the literal scene transitions, the folding and fractal architecture, and the way reality can influence dreams to some extent, but Inception is far too intelligible, far too anchored in practical effects to really explore the true possibilities of dreams. Doctor Strange did a better job of that, and that movie is about magic realms, not dreams. I mean, honestly, a dream following real-world logic without random emotional responses and nonsensical plot twists? That would be more suspicious, not less. But I think I have an explanation for that, beyond just a critical lack of imagination. I mean, think about where all of the effort went to during the production. Realism, verisimilitude, practical effects, location shots performed at the real locations and at great expense, electronic music performed by a real orchestra and a real rock musician. All of this wasn't just misplaced effort. It was because Inception is about something other than a literal dream. Think about what else I've talked about this cycle, about the nature of stories and the mind's eye. Every layer of Inception is a dream, is unreal. None of it ever happened. That top at the end will never fall nor stay upright, because it stopped existing when the frames of it ended and the credits began. Cobb will never escape Dreamland because Cobb is a dream, a projection created by Christopher Nolan and presented by Leonardo DiCaprio for the sake of a camera and the millions who would go on to watch this dream play out. All the dream layers resemble reality because none of them exist in true reality, in the reality where you exist and you observe your surroundings. So if the movie's dedication to realism was to reinforce its inherent unreality, then what was its point? Well, think about something else I've talked about off and on throughout the series. Think about how the movie talks about the nature of ideas and how hard they are to remove once they've taken root in your brain. Think about how the characters planted an idea in Robert Fisher's head, and then Robert brought that idea deeper into himself, changed it, reinterpreted it, and then made it his own. What do you think just happened? Because I can tell you, Robert killed the author, ate his idea, digested it, and incorporated it into himself. Inception is a movie about movies, a shared dream about shared dreams. Your subconscious hates it when someone shows up suddenly and tells you what to think, but if a person takes a more subtle approach, they can get around your defenses and make you think that their idea is really your own. That touching moment between Robert and his father never happened. But now, he and the audience know it is better to be your own man than to chase after your parents' shadows. Cobb doesn't confront his wife at the end, but only a phantom of his own creation. And yet, through him, we learn that there are times when you have to let go of your guilt and not let it consume and sabotage you. If not for your own sake, then for the sake of those who depend on you. These themes and morals are not spelled out for you, the audience, to learn, but by letting Inception into your mind, by sharing Christopher Nolan's dream and letting it blur that line between dream and reality, the lessons nevertheless make their way into your thoughts. As it turns out, the inception of Inception does not happen to Robert Fisher, Cobb, Maul, or anyone else in the cast. The inception happens to you. Thanks for joining me again today in AV Corner. I hope I'll see you next time for a look at biotechnology.